This is culturally inappropriate.
We are here at the Louis Vuitton store on 57th Street.
Yes.
Only these people, these characters in the game of hip hop could get us into the Louis Vuitton store. Being able to still know y'all and be able to sit here and have this conversation after all of these years is beautiful.
And making this type of shit.
Right now.
Like making this right now?
Yeah.
Like people can't make this right now.
Nah.
No,
This
people,
is for us.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
people,
right.
people
For
who were
us.
doing it then can't make this right now. They're
Right.
showing you.
Yeah.
They're showing you.
You see, I had to break out a piece. You know what I'm saying? See, I don't do this. I have a couple.
Yeah, I know you do.
I have a couple. I just be in my regular.
Nah, come on.
I'm keeping up, though. I'm keeping up.
A little bit.
I'm keeping up.
A little bit, yeah, you know.
Don't let them fool you, man. I know what you do.
So wait, so y'all recorded the whole album. We're at the Louis Vuitton store, 57th Street, in the
Yes.
men's kind of private area, which, by the way, great idea. This is a great idea. For
sure.
Great idea. But you guys recorded the entire album in Paris at the Louis Vuitton, what's it called? The
Headquarters.
Headquarters.
Yeah.
And so Pharrell's working on,
Everything.
Bags, shoes, sketches, everything.
and so
Fabrics.
did he come to you with the, hey, come out here, let's do the album? Did you guys say, hey, we gotta finish this album? And like, how did that happen?
Basically, one of the criterias for him to even be in Paris as much as he is was to have a studio set up.
Oh.
So with that being a criteria, like you said, it's pretty much set up like this. Like if you look that way, you'd have the studio back there. The sliding doors open up. You have somebody sketching right here. You have somebody with shoes and bags over here. You know, you got people with fabrics back there. And it's just a strong, just a flow through.
Right.
And when we're there, you know, it all starts with the music. Everybody's listening to the music. They're listening to you as you create. There is no booth. So you're like recording, you know, in the open air.
Yeah.
You know, you can close the door,
Yeah,
but
but-
other than that, it's just a flow through.
How did that help the inspiration for the album? Because the album, I mean, sonically, it's beautiful. It's a masterpiece.
Thank you. Yeah.
You guys are back in your pocket in ways that obviously we haven't heard you in together as the Clipse 15 years.
Yeah.
But you're not in a hurry. You're not doing too much, you know, which is very high end, right? Like it's a very high end experience, the way you guys curated and created this with Pharrell. So did that, being in that atmosphere, inspire that too?
I think it's always, you know, like family.
Right.
Me, my brother, Pharrell, while we're there, you know, even his parents are there.
Wow.
We all come up together, same area. It just felt like a real good family setting, things that we're used to. The creative aspect, the same as it's always been from yay high, you know what I'm saying? So it's the same. It's nothing hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna go have a sip, but I really, man, listen, it's a big moment, man.
Yeah. Really big moment.
Well, and we'll talk about it, but like hip hop has so many different things going on sonically,
It has.
right?
It's out of control.
But
It is.
what you guys are doing, many people don't do because it's hard to do,
That's right.
and it takes time to do it.
Yeah.
But you guys have navigated the game in different ways, right? From stepping out, stepping back in.
Sure.
From trying different things and working as an executive, and but also taking your money and investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Starting businesses so that you can sustain yourself and not have to do things that you don't want to do.
That's right.
But talk about that piece before we're gonna go deeper into the album, but just talk about, once again, not being in a hurry, the runway being longer for rappers who do what y'all do,
Absolutely.
than just some fast food rap or, you know what I mean, trendy rap.
I think basically it's just about, especially for me, stepping back, taking stock and inventory of your life, taking stock of where it's going, where it's headed,
Yeah.
how you see yourself in the future, setting up for your kids, grandkids, things like that. I think the first time out the gate, you know what I'm saying, it was a little radical, but having a chance to sit back and evaluate, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And especially now, you see everything that's going on now.
Right.
I mean, people going through all kinds of,
Right.
some of everything.
That's right.
Everything from drug addiction to Ricos to everything, you know what I'm saying? And I think if more would just not be in such bondage to the money and such bondage to your ego, you'll do better just to take a step back and evaluate.
That's what's up. That's what's
Yeah.
up. Let's go sit, man, and get into the album. We're gonna play the joints, talk some shit. Y'all got TMZ raps.
Yeah.
You know? So I got notes for this interview.
Come on.
I don't ever take my own notes.
Ebro got notes?
I usually I had to take notes because y'all always, you say things that could mean things, but we're not sure if they mean things.
Right.
And then we're trying to play, sleuth and forensics to figure out, which is beautiful. We love that in hip hop.
Right.
On this album, you guys open up with a very emotional song about your parents.
Yeah. Birds don't sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And start with you, Malice. I feel like in the projects that you did when you stepped away from the Clipse, you were doing some soul cleansing and you were doing some deep searching.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That prepared you for what you're doing on this album in many ways. Am I saying that right?
I agree with that, yes.
Yeah. So going into this and this being a Clipse song, I know for you, Push, this is a new space in many ways. But was your brother able to help you with that in making this?
I've said quite a few times that in my solo efforts, I've always known what the fans miss from the Clipse. Always. It's a mark that I've never been able to hit by myself. When it comes to that deep dive or just actually knowing who your fan is and knowing where your fans derive from. They come from Clipse. So to know that and to know that you're not servicing them because you really can't, I realize that, man, they don't want to hear it from me like that. They want it from him.
Right.
And I've tried, you know what I'm saying? I've tried a number of times. Birds Don't Sing was probably the time where I feel like I got it right. And that was just, no compromise, the most vulnerable I've probably ever been in a song, in music. And it had to be. It had to be that way. Man, it's, that record's about the passing of our parents, and we took the framework of the song was like, my last conversation with my mom and his last conversation with my dad, and just going through that, and it was therapeutic. It was therapeutic, but it was the hardest record to make. That's why it actually starts the album. You come into the you come into an album and create an album, and of course you want your banger at the top. It was so emotional, and people hearing it, the creation of it, the final product of it, we were like, this has to, we have to set it off like this so people know just where we are mentally in our lives, and that we are that comfortable, starting there. Like, our parents needed that at the top. You know what I'm saying? They belong at the top. And, we going back and forth, went back and forth. Pharrell was very, very adamant. Like, this is number one. I don't care. We're starting here. And it made for a great, I think you'd say, story arc.
It does.
In the album.
That's right.
Yeah.
And your ability to soul search and talk about pain
Yeah.
has always been, as Pusha was talking about, a piece of your bond as creatives, and what you brought to the table. Your parents passed away very close to one another. Like it was in this, it was like same year, right?
Yeah. 21 and 22.
22,
Oh, okay.
but still
Yeah,
4 months.
Yeah, 4 months.
months
Yeah.
apart.
Right.
For you, Malice, as the older brother, right, who, you know, has been outside a lot, you know, did you feel like you was able to get closure with your dad?
Oh man, the story was written beautifully and perfectly. Like when you think about the loss of a loved one, you think it's in some far off abstract time. You know, you probably even think it'll never happen. But the way that it happened, you know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says God is the author and the finisher of our faith. And just the way my parents passed away and how they were, you know, buried together side by side, it was like the perfect story, the perfect closure, the telltale signs that led up to it, the last conversation that I had with my dad, the way he said, "I love you, son," and drove off. Like he always, you know, told us that he loved us, but there was an inflection in his voice. And I just watched him drive down the street, and it was like, you know, it was something different about that moment, you know, and it was like 2 days later he had passed away. So I have a lot of comfort, and I have a lot of hope, you know. My belief 100% is in Jesus Christ, the crucified. And I do believe I'm gonna see my parents again.
That's dope. That's dope. Good for you, man.
Yeah, nah, absolutely.
It's good for you, man.
Absolutely.
The
It's good for me, but it's available to everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real talk.
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad you said that, because as we get into this convo, and when you hear Malice on this project, I don't know if when we first met y'all as a group, I know for sure we didn't know where we were going, right? When we first heard.
Yeah, you remember when we all met?
Yeah, like nobody knew where we was
no
going.
one knew.
We didn't know where we was going.
Who the hell
but
were
I know
we?
where we are today, right?
Right.
And I look back on knowing you, and people who have never had a combo with you, they never seen your eyes before. Like, and Pusha's your brother, so he knows how serious you get, and how the vision that you have and the passion that you've always had, right? And you know, to see where you've landed in this moment, to question materialism and to question the things that we were chasing when we were much younger, and but to survive it all, land back in this spot, and hopefully be able to impart faith and wisdom and these things upon folks, to have an opportunity to maybe not make the same mistakes, and maybe not live the same pains.
It is because of my faith that I'm sitting here with you right now. Only, it's not through no strength or might of my own. It is because of my faith. It is because of reading the Word of God, and it is written on my heart. That is the only reason that I get to sit here with my brother now and sit here with you right now. Not because of something I thought of or some strategy that I worked out to get myself back here. Not at all. Not at all. And also, I gotta thank you for even, at the time of me doing my solo albums, allowing me to come through and shedding light on the project, even when, people wasn't sure what I was doing.
I hope people go back and listen, by the way. Because them shits was fire.
This the first I'm hearing that.
No. At the time we was playing it, talking about it like, yo.
I appreciate it.
I don't think people...
Nah, I get it. You're 100% right.
Tangentially, different convo for a different time. I have a thing, right? Oftentimes people come to me and they'll be like, oh, this Christian rapper. And I'll be like, but is it good though?
Right. I understand.
What they faith is.
Right. Is it good music? Right.
Are they getting to it?
Right.
And saying it. And are the beats fire?
Right.
Like,
Right.
That's, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, because for me, faith has always been woven into hip hop. Like the music we was raised on was always asking questions.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
5%ers,
Right.
Islam,
I get it.
Christianity,
I
Bible
get it.
quotes, Bible verses.
Yeah.
Trying to understand how I was raised versus what I'm doing now. How do I get back to a more pure space? You know, which is, by the way, the normal human experience. For
It
many
is. It really is.
Yeah.
You know, you see, and people say all the time, like when people go to jail or find some kind of hardship and they'll end up reverting, you know, to their faith or the faith that they grew up on or the faith that their parents taught them. But that is when that's not a foolish thing. It is in the suffering when you start looking for answers. It is in the suffering when you understand that, you know, this ain't gonna help you. Your friends, your relationship, your girlfriend, parents, nothing is gonna help you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Until you get into that word of God. That's where I get all my peace from.
On Chains and Whips, we hear from Kendrick.
Yeah.
I saw you've had some conversations about that particular Kendrick verse being something that Universal Music didn't want to let you guys put out.
Right.
So I bring that up in this context. Pusha, you're signed to Def Jam, which is under Universal. You were signed. You
I
was.
was.
Yeah.
Right.
Signed to Def Jam, which is under Universal. The Clipse also had a one album deal that was
So about 15 minutes?
that was could have been, should have been, whatever.
Right.
I would love to hear the story on how that got untangled because many artists are not in position to say to a major, we don't have to work with you if we don't want to.
Right.
You guys fortunately are in your career, but still that comes with some undoing, right?
Oh, for sure.
Legal
Right,
undoing,
right,
paperwork,
right. Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
So
right.
give us some insight.
Well, basically, we were in the album cycle of putting an album together, the Clipse album, Let God Sort Them Out together. The excitement in the building was I'd have to say was second to none. Listen, we're putting this album together. I mean, you know, nobody really has to work. It's on us, you know.
Y'all did y'all part.
You did your part by even, by us, getting the deal. So we come with the album in hand. We're waiting on a few features. Those features start coming in. Everybody's super excited. The feature from Kendrick comes in, and the whole album process got put to a halt. They stopped opening up budgets for video, promo, so on and so forth. And they stopped talking to our management team. No more talking through emails. We'll only talk on the phone and discussing, we're not putting this out. We don't want this, the optics of Kendrick and specifically myself on a song together with, Clipse as a whole. They didn't like the optics of it, in my opinion.
But they never explicitly said that. But they behaved as such.
They behaved as such, but this type of attitude has been actually happening since 2018. Since Story of Adidon.
Right.
Since features that were coming out, that I had coming out. There was, my verses have been censored ever since then.
So things have been made a hard way to go.
Yes. But mind you, still roll with the punches, none even talk about. None to talk about, roll with the punches, keep going. And it only dawned on me that it was happening when they would get lyrics wrong. So, I'm doing a feature, I turn in a feature or something, they have to, quote unquote, make sure there's no legal, I'm not interpolating someone. Really, it was just checking to see what the hell I was saying.
Right.
Once it went through that process, they'd be like, oh, no, you need to change that. They go to my manager, Steven, he needs to change that lyric. He's saying this. And then when they got it wrong a couple times, I was like, wait a minute. Like,
that's not even what I'm saying.
That's not even what I'm saying. And what are y'all doing?
Right.
And I was like, damn, wait a minute. They're censoring me, So by the time a couple Pop Smoke records get shelved, and then there's talk about this and that. There was There was a lot of little records that was being held back.
So things are being made hard for your verses. They're being highly scrutinized.
From 18 up until.
Right, which 18 for the audience is when you and Drake had your back and forth.
Right.
Now, you know, Drake as an artist, a huge asset for Universal Music. Everybody understands that. But in hip hop, you know, which operates, yes, in the corporate atmosphere, but is really a culture of the community in the streets.
Right.
Two individuals, for whatever reason, disagree, dislike, and we exchange words.
Right.
We've never seen anything like what we're seeing today, where an individual, and likely because hip hop's bigger than it's ever been before, but we've never seen an individual say, after wanting to engage in a lyrical back and forth, that now we're gonna take some legal approach.
Right.
And so that legal approach seems to have harmed your ability to put out music through that organization, through that company.
Definitely.
That's what I'm hearing you say.
Definitely.
Right?
For every artist, though.
You mean every artist?
It unlocks the potential for every artist, everybody's expression, everybody's creativity is in jeopardy.
Right.
And that starts to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're taking things out of context. Like everything
Right.
ain't even about
Because I don't even know who the back office person actually is who gets to annotate, you know, my lyrics.
Yeah.
But like I said, I only understood it was happening when they were wrong.
Right.
You know.
Because you're like, wait, I'm not even saying that. So why are we even going in that direction?
Right.
So now you take this album and you go and work with Rock Nation, which is Hov and Dez, and
Yes.
and now we have it.
Yes. The world has it.
While setting aside the legal awkwardness of whatever discovery is going on in emails and whatever that lawsuit is and whoever's involved in it, I still want to applaud where you are in your career to even have that ability to pivot, right? I think I don't want to, you know, of course the internet's gonna want to get lost in the back and forth of, lawsuits and all that. But I think there's more a story of independence and perseverance and just having control of your art in a way that you can say, I can choose at this juncture in my career, or we can choose who we want to work with if, one group doesn't think they want to work with us.
You have to pay for that.
You have to be able to pay, yes.
Yeah, you have to pay for that.
That's right.
You have to pay for that, you have to pay for it.
That's right.
It's not...
There's a cost.
Yeah, there's a cost that comes with it.
This Kendrick verse, there's been rumors of waiting for a verse. We've been waiting for a verse a lot. Was this the verse that we were waiting for?
No.
No.
We've had this.
We've had this.
Yeah, we've had this.
On your verse in this Kendrick song, you reference John chapter 10, verse 10.
That's right.
Why?
Because it says the devil comes but to kill, steal, and destroy. He don't come to play with you. He don't come to aggravate you. He doesn't come to intimidate you. He's coming to kill you. So you got to be serious about what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I just referenced that verse for that reason.
Yeah.
It's not a game.
It's not a game.
It's definitely not a game.
There's a stamp that you guys have used only on specific songs throughout the album that says, this is culturally inappropriate. It was on Ace Trumpet's the first single.
Right.
But it's not on every song.
No.
And for me, I giggled when I heard it the second time, which is on Chains, because when I had Ace Trumpets and then get the album, you listen to the first song, which is John Legend on Beautiful Song, which we talked about a second ago. Then I get to Change the Whips and I hear it again and Kendrick's on it. And then I giggle because it's like that Wayans Brothers movie where they pop up and it's like, message.
Yeah.
It was that the intent?
No, I think that we just get caught up in the feeling and creating the album. We get caught up in the feeling of certain records. And, you got to realize that, like, before we even get to the process of, like, hooks and writing, man, we're so entranced by the beat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, just in the conversation that's happening, the freestyling that's going on, you know, it was just a catchphrase and circling the studio like, man, this shit is culturally inappropriate. Like, this shit is just wrong.
Yeah.
Mikey, the engineer, like, you know, of course he hears that and he's
Right.
like, man, let me run that through these filters and just, you know, see what voice is going. He was like, man, we should really just run this currently through the album. Like, anytime we just feel like that, let's just run it.
See, I whatever you just said, I hear you, but I don't want to believe that.
Oh, no, for sure.
I want to believe that you put it on songs, so when you say it's culturally inappropriate, you're pointing a finger at what has become cultural norms and acceptability politics like these. And you guys are saying, nah. Well, they didn't want to accept as cultural. See,
You know, some things are just divine. You do know that. Some things are just divine. Yeah.
Yeah, man, Chains and Whips.
Yeah.
Chains and Whips with Kendrick Lamar, a phenomenal record. And you guys clearly knew that you were loading stuff to the front of the way you sequenced this album, like you talked about.
Right.
Giving us something so personal about your parents. Second track, Chains and Whips.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar coming off of the, you know, highly storied battle and his successful last 12 to 18 months.
Yep.
When you guys had this record, did you have it and then ask Kendrick to be on it? How did that conversation go?
What happened was basically we were in the studio creating, we had the record. We were in the studio just creating the album, and his publisher happened to be in the studio. You know, it was in Paris.
Right.
You know, and just was listening and called Doc and was like, listen, you need to be on this album.
Yeah.
And so we sent him a few records. I was like, man, listen, here, take them, whatever you want. And he, man, through everything that was going on, man, he came back with that. And if you just think about the time.
No.
It was like anybody could have used the excuse not to. You know what I'm saying?
He continues to deliver under duress.
Yeah. He's psycho.
Yeah, I'm here for it. It's great for us.
Yeah, I love it.
Kendrick has a line, which I'd love to hear you guys' opinion on. He talks about people saying that he couldn't attract a Gen Z audience, right? And we see so many artists doing backflips to try to attract younger artists, right? Whether they're, they're changing their aesthetic and as they get older, but still trying to be young.
Yeah.
We look at a critically acclaimed, a highly anticipated album like the one you guys just dropped, and that's something you guys never did, right? And I want to put a pin in that for the audience, because anybody coming up in the game, right, there is this desire when you coming from, very difficult circumstances and you get an opportunity to get a check, that you're going to conform to things to just get the check. But I think it should be highlighted that not conforming and being true to yourself can pay dividends tenfold on the other side, right? It's just, it's a hard road, right? And you have to stay focused. But have you even noticed that younger audiences are circling back around to more carefully crafted, culturally important hip hop? Like, do you guys see that in the audiences that are coming to, see you guys? I know you guys are rolling out a tour. Just what are you guys feeling and seeing with that?
You know, I personally think when the younger artists come out, there's a type of rebellion, there's a type of angst and energy that you all come out with in the beginning. And I think, as you get further in your career and life starts to show you things, and if you're paying attention, you know how to encapsulate that within your rhymes and in your artistry. I think it does the genre a disservice when you try to revert back to do what the younger, you got to let them have their time. You got to let them, be who they are. And they will adapt to whatever it is they're learning in life, or whatever it is, what they're not learning.
Where it's gonna take them.
In life, where it's gonna take them. But I think any artist who starts out and who is paying attention to life, as it, goes on, I think they will get a chance to mature and mature gracefully and mature as they should and be able to take this thing that we know and love called rap, you know, just to the outer limits. But you start going backwards and getting out of order and trying to keep up with the young kids and do what they're doing, you know, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how it should work.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And if we're paying attention to people who have tried that, it usually does a disservice to their brand in the long term.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but many have tried, right? Like,
Yeah.
many have felt like, oh, I gotta appease the label, or I gotta play in the new algorithm or the new platform or whatever, and haven't really taken the
The new
time.
trend.
The new trend or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Many have tried. And the great ones will take those lumps and come back and kind of reposition their brand and figure out a way to find some success.
That's right.
Tyler, the Creator, is also on this album,
Yeah.
on track 3, who we know him and Pharrell. I mean, Pharrell is like his mentor in many ways.
Tyler's the #1 Clipster.
Absolutely.
#1 Clipster.
Tell me why you saying that.
He is. I mean,
As a fan of the group.
as a fan of, like, you know, the discography, Tyler is the #1 Clipster. He can tell me things about albums and the time periods and any and everything, from production to raps.
Right.
When it comes to Clipse albums.
I love that. He says, first of all, the beat switch is crazy. I wanted to acknowledge that. All of this music on here is Pharrell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything.
Everything.
Top to bottom.
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
Over what period of time was all of this stuff created? Is this...
2 years.
About 2 years.
2 years.
Tyler has a line, he says, buy a bitch a Birkin. I won't buy a bitch a Birkin just because she's fucking me.
Right.
Which, you know, speaking to a lot of what's trending, you know, these days, which is, you know, a lot of people out here tricking and throwing money around just because.
What's wrong with that?
If that's what you're into, I'm not.
Come on, man.
I'm not here to judge. If that's what you're into.
You know, Tyler can get a bit judgy. He can get a bit
He's a bit
judgy.
judgy. He's a bit
He does
judgy.
what he does.
But Malice, you have a line. You say something to the effect of the only one to walk away and really be free.
Yeah.
And then you go on to say these chains look like oppression to me.
Right. Right.
What? Tell me where your head was at when you.
I would just, you know, like you said, for my brother, the fact that he was able to call his own shot, you know, where he is in his career, and not you know, chained because of, you know, for financial reasons or anything. He has taken his career in his own hand, and you know, I've done the same thing. I'm fine, you know, with whatever. I'm fine with having a lot. I'm fine with having a little. I've learned how to be content.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So these chains can very easily become oppression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep you locked into a
Yeah,
situation.
keep you locked in.
It keeps you locked in.
Yeah.
Let God sort them out. How did you land on that title?
So we were talking, and I thought he actually came up with the title. He thought I came up with the title. But, you know, I think that's just speaks to how innate we are with our album and album themes. You know, Hell Hath No Fury, you know, Lord Willing, Till the Casket Drop. We just wanted to keep with the same thing.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's also at a time where earlier, I think it was you said rap is out of control.
It's out
and
of control.
You know, you just said something a second ago, Malice, with regard to what this rap game and hip hop means to us
Right.
as people who have created lives, or, you know, watched our friends live out their dreams,
Right.
or been able to take care of kids, create industry. You know, watching our brother Pharrell do amazing things.
That's right.
Right, watching Hove do amazing things. This all comes from
Yeah.
hip hop. Like,
Yeah.
this all comes from rapping and making beats and falling in love with art and creativity and curation and leveraging that for
Right.
more for our grandchildren.
Right.
Is there something in you both that is offended when you see hip hop taken for granted, or people forsake this thing that we hold near and dear?
I think, well, me personally, I don't judge it. I more so sit back and watch how it has evolved, and just be a spectator. I never wanted to be the one to say it should be this way or that way, because when you put those kind of limitations on it, it can stifle where it could go. So I do sit back and watch. I think the most egregious thing that I couldn't even fathom being censored though. I think that's what out of everything would or has pissed me off the most. To be creative, to work hard, to travel. You know, we've lost a lot of people to hip hop, whether famous and those who weren't even famous in the street, you know, for the sake of rhyme and the sake of whatever, you know, happens.
And that's before you get into addiction and all of the other things.
That's before that. You know, you just deal with a lot. You deal with being away from family, you know, traveling. And I'm not gonna say it hasn't happened. I'm just not aware of it happening in other genres. And when you try to censor, you know, our freedom of speech, knowing that hip hop is like, you know, the last frontier of black expression in many ways. You know what I'm saying? This is ours. This is what we do. This is how we express. And you're gonna like do something like that to it. I mean, you hear censorship and you think, you know, it's nothing, it's a small thing, but it's actually a huge thing.
Right.
It's huge.
Well, and I think what I'm hearing, and when you were bringing up the workings with the label, you guys actually at this juncture feel like, A, this has cost you real money now in a way that, it wasn't a one-sided campaign, right? You guys weren't, you know, Pusha, when you got in a battle with Drake, it wasn't you battling yourself.
Oh, exactly.
There was when we look at Kendrick and Drake, it's, you know, it takes two to tango, I guess.
Right.
So why is it that, you know, the things you're putting out, you know, are now at this moment in hip hop's history being, I guess, marginalized in a way and censored, I guess, for lack of a better term?
I mean, definitely censored. I guess, you know, it was a business decision on their end. I mean, I can't speak for them.
That's right.
But I would say it's a business decision. It was probably appeasing the artist that they wanted to appease.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know. It's too outrageous to put to words.
In a way, do you feel like do people think they're pulling like some sort of like bully move on y'all? Is that, do you feel like is that?
You know what it is? I think
people think they're gonna like big dog you or something. Is that what this was?
You know what I think it is? I think that people have become comfortable in how principled we are. Very comfortable in how principled. They know we not doing no telling, no talking, no snitching, no, you know, we don't necessarily do that. Like if that's what comes with it, then
roll with the punches.
Yeah, we
find a
roll
way
with the- yeah,
around.
we- yeah, we
do
roll
what
with the
needs to
punches.
be done. You know,
like
it
you
ain't
know,
no crying, man.
Yeah.
It ain't no crying about nothing. If someone has a stronghold on the game where roadblocks can be placed, then we work around it. You know what I'm saying? We play the game how it goes. That's always been our motto.
Well, this is probably, now that you say that, this is y'all second rodeo. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh yeah.
Of that same, from what happened to that boy to Mr. Me Too to all of that, all of that rolls right up into the same. Now, as hip hop fans, are you able to step away from it and see how entertaining and amazing this is?
Yeah, absolutely.
As fans of the game, do you guys ever kick back like, yo, this shit is crazy?
Yeah. The story arc is beautiful.
No, it is, right? It is.
Oh, it's beautiful.
No, it's crazy.
You kidding me?
No, I mean, listen, I gotta tell y'all, being able to still know y'all and be able to sit here and have this conversation after all of these years is beautiful.
And making this type of shit.
Right now.
Like making this right now.
Yeah.
Like people can't make this right now.
Yeah.
Nah.
No.
This
People,
is for us.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
People
right.
people
For
who were
us.
doing it then can't make this right now. They're
Right.
showing you.
Yeah.
They're showing you.
We are here at the Louis Vuitton store on 57th Street.
Yes.
Only these people, these characters in the game of hip hop could get us into the Louis Vuitton store, which is, what? Y'all walking at the Paris fashion thing, the music's playing.
These are
Your guy, this is your guy. Pharrell is from the neighborhood.
Yeah, still. Yeah, same neighborhood right now.
Like, y'all was telling me that his parents
Yeah.
at the Louis Vuitton headquarters. With y'all recording the album, the same people.
For sure.
Yep.
What does that feel like? That's gotta feel beautiful.
Feels like family, man.
Yeah.
Feels like family.
And it feels like we saw this. We saw this coming. To be honest, when you think about the whole LV marriage, Pharrell was first at LV.
Yeah.
Back then.
Well, it was a sunglass collab.
Yes, 1000%.
Yeah.
One of the first ambassadors back then.
Yeah.
It's just great to watch it come full circle. Creative director, killing it, man. And these are boxes we just checking off, man.
Right.
These are boxes we checking off. House ambassador, like, come on.
You on So Be It. We might as well get to So Be It.
Yeah.
First got leaked at the end there. Pusha is saying some things.
Yeah.
Speaking of Louis Vuitton collabs and that relationship, right? Because Pharrell, you, Kanye, it was a beautiful community of individuals that worked together, created together, learned from each other. We get to this point.
Yeah.
Where I clearly remember a conversation I had with you about Kanye when things started to get real, I'll just call it out of control, for lack of a better term. But you were still like, nah, it's my boy. Like, nah, like, he ain't going through this. It's crazy, but nah. You know what I'm saying? But now to hear this, and I'm assuming the So Be It verse is addressing Kanye.
It actually isn't.
Oh, so what is it? That's because that's what everybody assumed. TMZ, Calabasas.
Yeah. Well, the story behind So Be It is actually the story of, again, the process of us creating the album, right? While we're creating the album, Travis Scott comes to the headquarters, basically, on his album promo, Goofy Suitcase, Utopia, doing his 1-2 step.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, he comes, just interrupts the session, plays his music, whatever the case may be. Cool. Soon after that, there's a verse, the meltdown verse that they came out talking about Pharrell's jewelry, so on and so forth, that was on his album. Mind you, you interrupt the session, you play the album, you don't play that, you don't say nothing about that, and you put it out there. And for me, I just thought it was disrespectful. I'm like, man, we don't even want you here, to be honest. Like, we're not here to hobnob with any rappers. And I personally don't like rappers who don't rap.
Right.
Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I don't want it. So, to come and interrupt the session, to do something backhanded and backbiting, and not for nothing, like, man, I didn't had to put my arm around you before. You know what I'm saying? But, to go along with the title, So Be It, it's for me, you can't really take it. No, I had to step back from it and of course speak to it. But it's him. When you look at him, he does this numerous times. You know what I'm saying? He'll do it with his mentor.
Right.
Yay. You know what I'm saying? He was even instrumental in the whole beef now.
Like that.
The like that verse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Egging that on. I don't want nobody who don't rap to egg nothing on. You don't rap. Stay out of rappers' business. You specifically, stay out of rappers' business.
Right.
Don't do that. And I didn't, I didn't feel that. Like, I definitely was not feeling that. And from him specifically, like, I had to talk you off the ledge before myself. I had to.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So it's like, just being creative, man, being creative and, taking a deep breath and taking a step back and saying, look, it's, you did what you did, but so be it.
Right.
It is what it is.
Phenomenal record, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In another conversation, you did, however, say that you and Kanye, you lost respect for him.
Yeah. I feel like, Ye, me and Ye just we don't gel. Like where I am right now in my life, I'm not with anybody who ain't on my team. Especially when I've been on your team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he has this thing with him where he champions and he stands next to any and everybody who don't fuck with me. And I don't get that. Like, I don't understand that. You say things, you say things about the music and things that we've created. I don't understand that. Why? You know what I'm saying? Why would you ever say anything negative about any music that we created together when you know what we create together and what we have created together is what what slap.
Yeah.
Like it slaps.
Yeah.
So it's like he obviously for whatever reason he has an issue that I don't even care what his issue is. I don't care.
Right.
I don't.
When you hear those lines, if you don't know enough, you only, like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. But if you don't know enough, you get caught up in what you've heard about, oh, he bought a house next to this one, they live in Calabasas.
They all live in Calabasas.
Yeah.
They all are right there.
I don't know what's what, who's who. That's why my mind went straight to, oh, he gotta be talking about Kanye.
Nah, it was him.
But
He was crying.
But as I was saying to you, man, like as an outsider and somebody who has an unshakable faith, you're not one foot in, one foot out with your faith, right? You didn't do a religious album and say I'm not cursing and then start cursing and then all of this back and forth.
Right.
You're watching all of this play out and you're not active with your brother recording and creating music for the Clipse.
Right.
Are you guys having conversations? Are
yeah.
you helping him navigate, think through?
No. We have conversations about, just things that go on. It's nothing to help him navigate. I enjoy watching his antics. These are the same antics that I remember, him growing up as a child. Like, it's crazy because everything that I see him into, in the industry, it's exactly who I know him to be. I know where it's going. I know where the bodies are buried. I know everything about him, you know what I'm saying? And you just asked, do I sit back or do we sit back and enjoy what we're watching? I love watching him and watching, what it is that he does. One thing that I absolutely notice is that my brother, we both are, loyal to a fault. Mm-hmm. And I've seen him, just be exceptionally loyal. And that's not to like be a pat on the back. I think that's how you should be, with friends and people that you bang out with. I think you should be that way, period, But to see him amongst people who I believe, don't reciprocate that kind of thing, they probably didn't even know the treasure of having a friend who don't gossip. You know what I'm saying? Right. Or run and tell the fabulous stories that you let us in on. And they're fabulous too, you know what I'm saying? So, just you don't appreciate that. And that's how we grew up. And that's how our friends and our circle is tight knit. And it's just certain ethics and principles that, we stand on.
The shaping of your lives and this bond that you guys have starts in Virginia. And first of all, the piece by piece Lego, phenomenal. Watched it with the whole family.
Yeah.
And I have to assume that's completely accurate to the phone call, to you walking on the street, to Pharrell being like, yo, if you don't come rap on this beat, I'm giving it to Jay.
Facts.
You being like, I'm on the next thing. I'm running.
Yeah.
Fuck, I ain't even catching the bus. I'm running over there. Which takes me once again back to family at the Louis Vuitton headquarters in Paris, recording an album. The whole family's there. But that bond that you guys have, and you talking about not gossiping, not snitching, is because you guys, rap was what saved y'all, right? Like, it wasn't as if, you decided that you was gonna be in the streets because you was rapping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was the other way, where rapping was the reason to give us hope. Rap was the thing that was like, nah, don't stay outside too long, because we might end up fucking off an opportunity to do something legitimate. I think we have gotten so far down the path in hip hop, and we hear so many stories that, the audience don't know who's real and who really lived it and who didn't. They probably know Hove, right? Because he's Jay and he's so big, but they don't know all the details. But I would love to hear just more about that from you, Malice, because you are the older brother and you was outside first, and you was risking it all first. And I've heard it before, but I think for this moment, because there's new eyeballs on y'all. Same thing just happened with Kendrick, right? I took my, we've been loving Kendrick since '08. When you hear those lines, lyrics, now all of a sudden he jumps on some mustard beats, and 9 and 10-year-olds is like
Jumping with him.
You know what I mean? Running, they know him now, right? Because now he did something that is considered more mainstream or whatever. But because of your back and forth with a pop star who happens to love hip hop also, now there's new eyeballs on it, right? And so I want people to know kind of them early days when he was, I think the story goes, he was trying to get you to come to the studio more. Is that how the story went, or was the other way?
No, it was me first in the studio.
Got it.
Yeah. And so, it was we had a mutual friend, Alex, Filipino cat in Virginia. And me and him would, he was a DJ and I would rap. And I went out and I rented a drum machine. But, we didn't know how to work the drum machine, but you only got a certain amount of time to mess with it before you got to turn it back. And we had it for so long that, and didn't get anything out of it. But he was like, my man can work it. So I went with him to his man's house, and his man happened to be Chad. You know what I'm saying? So that was the inception of me and Chad. And we just started going over there and making beats and rapping. And with Pharrell and Pusha came. And just one day, out of nowhere, Pusha decided to write a verse. And Pharrell was just like, y'all should be a group. You know what I'm saying? And it made for easy work. 16, 16, 8, 8. And, we got a whole song and it's done.
And where'd the name The Clipse come from?
So Clipse came from, I came up with the name Full of Clipse. But at the time, Fat Joe, that I found out later, had a crew called Full of Clipse Crew. We ain't want no smoke with Fat Joe. So we just shortened it to Clipse.
And when you hear those lines,
crazy.
When you hear those lines, right? And to this day, I think it's heralded as one of the greatest hip hop beats. From recording time to it actually becoming the behemoth of a classic that it is today. Do you guys remember how long that was?
9 months to break.
9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
Like a baby, 9 months to break.
Yeah. Like actually recording it, actually getting CDs pressed up, sending it out, handing it out to everybody, every DJ we could find, going on promo tours. And at the time, the only people that gravitated to the music was like guys in the street. Those were the only people who knew it, like who knew and understood what we were talking about. So, we went on a promo run, and the promo run was kind of centered around indie promoters who were with it, who knew what was up. It was their favorite song, but you end up in Cleveland, doing a show for somebody in their neighborhood,
That's
you
right.
know, whoever runs the neighborhood,
Yeah.
you know, and they just want to hear that, man, I want to hear that grinding joint.
Right.
And you do
You was
that
in a
around
15
the country.
passenger van, rental van, staying in the
Turtle
Motel
top
6.
van.
Exactly. Oh, $1,500,
Yeah.
$750, you know, whatever it was. But you know, you did that around the country. And by the time we got through the 9 months and got back, grinding was grinding.
Yeah.
Man, people were telling us they wanted to remix the record. We'll play it if you let us remix it. Because, mind you, you know, Pharrell and Chad at the time were, you know, they were their producer chops were,
Yeah.
you know, they were stepping out there. So still young in it, but just stepping out there. So it wasn't a layup that it was just on, like it was gonna be on the radio. And at the same time, Pharrell was doing the falsetto and the hooks.
Right.
This didn't have that. This was like a total departure from what was working
Consider
for
the
them.
sound.
Yeah, total departure from the sound.
Right.
And yeah, 9 months, man. 9 months of just working it through the street. We had grinding.
So that pops off.
The Bay was actually really
Yeah. California.
one of our strongholds too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But then things start to move. Cot Dam and, you know, but then you get to What Happened to That Boy, which is kind of where the things start to get interesting because y'all on fire. Pharrell's on fire.
Right.
The internet says that the initial issue was Baby didn't pay the back end for the beat or something.
I don't think that's true.
That's not true, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I don't even know. Like I can't say that that's I don't think that's real.
So how do you get to Mr. Me Too?
Mr. Me Too specifically was you know what it was? It was the internet era. The internet was becoming very loud. It was streetwear was a thing.
Yeah.
And
BBC was ringing.
BBC Babe was a thing.
Yeah.
And the internet
And those are your friends.
Yeah,
making
yeah,
this
for sure.
music. Yeah, I'm making these clothes.
And
right.
there was an interview, there was a vibe interview or something that the outtakes, you do the interview and then you got the outtakes and I just felt like the way in which the questions were answered, because it was nothing that we said. You know what I'm saying? Like the questions were being answered and
Not only that, we wouldn't say anything like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the questions were being answered in a way that was like, it was too aggressive for my taste. It was like, wait a minute, I didn't even say this, and you're like, but you're speaking and you're talking about me in a.
And who was this?
This is Wayne at the time.
Got it.
So it was like
Hear
those
those lines.
outtakes from that vibe interview that came to life.
Right.
And I was like, damn, you're responding to what the internet's saying, not us.
That's right.
And from there it was just Mr. Me Too.
And it's been on ever since.
Man, it ain't even on with Wayne, man. Like, yo, like it ain't. It's fine, man.
Well, I guess not on.
Yeah.
Definitely not on with Wayne, but
This is where all of that.
This is where all of that's, because Drake inherits that, right?
Not necessarily because of that, but just it was that, and then just certain affiliations, and between that and the yay and the back and forth and the banter and the
Right.
The slick line here, the slick line there. It all just turns into what we had at that time.
That's right. That's right. Ab Live was on the album.
Always.
Talk about that relationship, because that's day one.
Day one, man. Lava, man. Lava, we met Lava in 97? Maybe 97, 98?
Nah, it was a little bit before, well, probably 97, more like 97.
Okay.
Funeral came out in 98.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
met him in Major Figures, actually. Major Figures, Philly's Most Wanted.
Right.
That whole collective. And I feel like we all, still all cool to this day.
Yeah.
But I think the bond that was forged was centered around that we weren't, during that time, 97, 98, you LA, you New York.
Right.
They're in Philly, we in Virginia. We're both outliers of what the industry was at the time. So just forged a bond, man, and respected each other's, pens and talent and raps, and just always was like, man, you know what? We really do this. Like, times we couldn't get on, we couldn't get on Clue mixtapes.
Right.
Things like that weren't necessarily afforded to us. Just because it was, everybody was sort of to their own.
Right.
And just trying to break into we both were all trying to, both groups were trying to break into the industry at the same time. And man, we just,
sound great on here though.
yeah.
Great.
No, it sounds amazing.
Sounds
Amazing.
great. Everything.
Always.
Always.
You named that track "Inglorious Bastards."
Yeah.
And so obviously he says, I think he actually says something about "Inglorious" in his verse. There was the track, you named the track after, how did the name? Because that movie's about killing Nazis.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And so immediately I went like, oh,
No.
well, wait, what we talking about here?
You're looking too deep sometimes.
I do. I have to.
Nah, but it was just something. It was something that was very polarizing in the intro, and then just the beat itself. It just felt like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wartime shit.
Yeah,
Like, let's
for
get
sure.
to it. Let's get to it. Listen, this has been a phenomenal.
Hold on, I got a question.
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir.
So what happened between us years ago, and remember you and Jeezy had me call? I had to call you to make amends because something happened.
What did we do?
And we was trying to get the record played. You stopped messing with us for something, and I had to get on the phone and call, and we worked it out on the phone.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
But you and our manager was like, yo, they put me up to it. Yo, call Ebro, man, work it out. And I called you.
I must have got mad at somebody. Like, y'all never fuck with me.
Something happened. You meant it. You meant it. You meant it. You meant
Y'all ain't
it.
fuck with me. I ain't fuck with y'all. Cool, next.
Yeah. But we worked it out. So.
I don't know. I really don't remember. Who knows?
I don't
I tell you.
remember.
Talking about just how the story goes, right? Because a lot of this conversation's been like about how the story goes and who tells the story. I don't do a lot of talking. I do a lot of interviewing, and I do a lot of just talking shit on the radio, politics, whatever, playing music. But I've always felt there's certain people in the game that actually play the music. And more than ever right now, we're living in a time where it's a lot of chatting,
Yeah.
but not a lot of playing of the actual songs. And so everybody's like, oh, streaming numbers are down and people ain't listening to it. Well, there's only 24 hours in a day. And I've said this on multiple interviews and I'm gonna keep saying it. It's only 24 hours in a day. So when artists continually go places that ain't actually playing the music, you're taking the time away from people to actually listen to your music because they just, and that's not shade to people talking about music, but it is specific to me helping people understand that the audience only has so much time.
But you gotta understand that that's why we're here.
Right.
Honestly.
I appreciate you.
There's no in rolling out this album, we gotta sit down with you. Because we know that we're getting the journalistic, hip-hop thesaurus level. You know what I'm saying?
I tried, man. I tried to notes, man. I took notes.
But we need it because the music is that serious.
Yeah.
Man, I be getting flack from not going certain places, so on and so forth. But it's like, man, this shit is serious.
Yeah.
This shit is very serious to us. And it's not. Listen, we could sit up here and kiki and talk about a whole bunch of nonsense and have a blast.
That's right.
We really could.
Yeah.
Just knowing each other that long.
Right.
But we gotta come here. We have to come here because
Back to the music.
we need that. It's back to the music.
Well, I want to say I appreciate y'all for giving a fuck, and it's tough, because we all remember when we was coming up in hip hop, and it was old heads looking at what we was doing like y'all ain't doing it right? And I would love to believe we had a level of respect for what the opportunity was, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
We may
yeah,
not have necessarily
absolutely.
wanted to do it the exact same way
Yep.
or the same styles or whatever would push boundaries. But I always felt like, looking back on how I moved in the game, I had a respect for what being Black and being able to talk about your dreams, fears, pain in an unadulterated, very aggressive tone, something that only hip hop has been able to offer to the Black male experience, for sure.
Yep.
Right.
You didn't have to water it
Right.
down.
Right.
You didn't have to put a beautiful melody to it if you didn't want to trick people into,
Right.
feeling what you were saying. That hip hop thing was just laid bare.
Right.
And so that was something that I hold near and dear. So now, I often spend time just hoping that people who come along in the game understand what this thing actually means to be able to be in and contribute to and create in the hip hop space. And people are gonna do with it what they want. But I always remind people the biggest artists in the game, even somebody like Drake, who people have a back and forth with, he still has a level of respect when he goes to write and bare his soul in a record or whatever. But then you also have a J. Cole, and you also have a Kendrick, and these are the biggest. You have a Hov, these are the biggest guys in the game. And they have used this vehicle to put themselves, out there for people to learn and to hear and listen. And I just hope that's what people don't forget.
Right.
Right? Because if we just make this shit disposable and it's all about a bag chase, that shit is gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
That shit is gone, B. Like,
Nah, we ain't letting it go. We not letting it go. We not.
It's a few of us out here.
we only got 13 on this.
Yeah.
You only made 13?
That's it.
That's it. That's it.
This is crafted and curated.
like all the albums. That
Yeah, man.
Yeah. We don't have a stockpile of throwaways. There's no
Right.
such thing as that. Everything, I think Clipse is a novelty, and everything that we do is like handcrafted and chiseled.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
And
believe in
intentional.
Yeah, and intentional. And we believe in it from the beginning when we start a song.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. So, is this the first of a few installments? Is this, are we on the precipice of some sort of, do you have you even had that convo? Is that even a thought?
We haven't. We haven't, but
There
you
is
know,
a tour though.
Yeah,
There's definitely a tour. Yeah, yeah.
That starts like tomorrow or something.
August 3rd.
Yeah. And you guys you don't do that often, and you don't do that often, and the Clipse definitely ain't did it often.
Yeah.
What have you even been able to think about what the stage looks and feels like?
Yeah, we're working on that now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Any-
actually through that.
Anything you can share, or is there anything we should expect as fans? who show
We just
up?
building a world.
building the world.
We're just building a world.
Is it something you guys have been able to do before, or is this completely new?
I don't think we've attacked it like that before.
Not-
I haven't in a solo sense myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to get to this let God sort them out chandeliers Nas. When you hear those lines, you called Nas, you had the
Yeah.
record, how to talk us through this song,
Man.
the title, talk us through the whole thing.
Nas was supposed to be on It's Almost Dry on Hear Me Clearly. He didn't get a chance to do it. And I was like, man, next time, whatever. He hit me one day and was like, yo, you know how many people, after the album comes out, he said, like, you know how many people tell me that, I fucked up by not doing this record. And I was like, man, we gonna find another one.
Yeah.
Like, we gonna find one. So in the studio, put together Let God Sort Them Out. And Pharrell was looking for a change. And he came up with the chandeliers portion. And he was like, yo, you got to put 16 on this. I was like, man, this right here, this piece right here is made for Nas.
Yeah.
I said, as a matter of fact, we're not rapping on it. We're gonna share this part.
Yeah.
He gonna rap on this.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, he gotta hit, when he hears it, he's not gonna deny this. Telling you, this is for him. So we put it down, laid it down, put the portion on the back, and sent it. He was like, yo, what is this? This is for me. It's just for me. And just was like, oh, I got you. I mean, and I'm talking about his excitement, man, was like, his excitement was through the roof. I'm talking about calling with a verse, redoing the verse, calling with another verse, calling with another angle, calling, just like, yo, hold on. I'm gonna lay it, mind you, this is not studio work. This is, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lay it down. Hold on. I'm gonna lay this down.
It's preparation.
Yeah, I'm gonna lay this down. I don't know. He was doing shit, but next Thursday or whatever you said.
Yeah. Doesn't it? You have to after putting in this much time in this art form, when you have a legend like that, get that excited
Yeah.
to rap
Yeah.
after all of these years of rapping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How much joy does that bring somebody like you when it, like, I mean, that's not, like Nas still gets geeked.
That's
on,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy because that's, you know, I was just talking about this very thing. Pusha's excitement really like lit a fire to me. The fact that after all these years, after all of the, you know, after all of the red tape, he's still excited, you know, and just me tapping into that excitement, it just reminds me of how it was, you know, when we started. And like, and right now it's like no chains, everything is free flowing, it's enjoyable. And you know, in the creating, we always would try to bring that feeling, that electricity, you know. I'm gonna call it that East Coast electricity when, you know, when music was coming out. And I'm hearing from the listeners and from the fans and, you know, just the people that are paying attention. It was like, we ain't felt like this in a while. So yeah, that energy and excitement is it just does something to me personally.
To add to that, I think that's what we're doing. We're chasing a feeling. We don't even chase a sound. We don't chase a sound, we chase a feeling. And I think that's the criteria for all of us. You know what I'm saying? Whether Pharrell on the beat, us on the raps, we're chasing a feeling. If it don't feel like, you know, the first time you heard da-da-da-da-da, then I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't make you feel like that. Sonically, man, you know, you can find sounds all day. But, you know, goosebumps, man, that comes from a feeling.
Well, I'm assuming it was like that for Pharrell because he doesn't get as much opportunity to be in this space, right?
Oh,
Going
man.
back to even watching Piece by Piece, the Lego thing of how he's, you know, had to find and search and find things for himself.
Yeah.
Did this do something? Have you had a chance to have a convo with him? What did this do for him in some ways?
I talk to him every morning, man. I talk to him every morning, and his energy and excitement around this project is second to none. Like, actually, man, I tell him all the time, I actually don't want you doing anything. I wish you did nothing
But this.
except this.
Yeah.
I would selfishly only want you to do this.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you know, or maybe things that I'd be like, oh yeah, do that. But other than that, I don't want him doing anything other than this, because I feel like this is this taps in to the fan in hip hop of all of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, this taps into the purest time. I say, man, when we get together and we work, feels like 97, man. Feel like 95. It feel like skipping school. It feel like, you know, and not giving a damn. Like, today, nobody, man, there's no constraints. And now that I know that we can feel that, that's where the selfishness comes in. Like, okay, now everybody back up. let us just do this for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Those lines. Stove God Cooks,
Yes.
who everyone loves, that loves rap,
Yeah.
is on here on FICO. You know, y'all talking that credit score, you know,
Yeah.
that consignment relationship
Yeah.
on here. You tell a pretty in-depth story on here as well. Talk about that story. When you hear those lines,
What you talking about?
your verse on FICO. Just being outside, and Stove God's he gets into some detail. You guys get into some detail.
Yeah, of course. We always get into some detail. I would say, with Stove God on it, he just brings that personality, that color, that standout, that sound from, you know who it is when you hear that voice, you know what I'm saying? And he absolutely killed the hook. Just another street tale from the Clipse. And just one of them songs.
It's one of my favorite verses from him.
Yeah.
On the album, honestly. I think between that and
What are you talking about? Why you do that? Go ahead.
I just think between that and So Far Ahead, those two verses from him were the standouts. But for me, watching
POV for me is like his flow on that is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you hear those lines,
Yeah.
it's very different musically and sonically than a lot on the album too, which kind of breaks up the beginning of the sequence before you get into the more kind of traditional.
The palate cleanser. That's why it's right there.
Yeah. Right at the middle.
Yep.
And then you get into Mike Tyson blows to the face.
Yeah.
You know, that's what MTBTF said for right now. Okay, good. Fellas, congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what's up.
Any
Appreciate
ground
it.
we didn't cover that y'all want to make sure the audience.
I think we
just
good.
always just give a shout out to the fans just for sticking with us for so long after all these years and still being right there and still being excited about the music, and we just glad that we can still deliver to them and give them what they want. Yeah, like they remember.
Congrats,
My man, appreciate it. Thank you.
Good brother.
Congrats.
All right.